Welcome in, Tiger fans. We are live from Monday afternoon edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. I'm your host, as always, Justin Babin Jr. It's Monday, April 20th, 2026. Thank you, folks, as always, for tuning into the show today. Unfortunately, we got to talk more bad about LSU baseball as the Tigers get swept for the second SEC series in a row. LSU baseball has lost their last six SEC conference games, got swept in Oxford a week ago by Ole Miss, and they're coming off of getting swept at home for the first time since 2022. The Tigers got swept by Texas A&M in the box this past weekend. We'll break it all down. We'll talk about it. Got a lot to get to on the show today. Before we get to it, want to remind you, as always, we're sponsored by our wonderful friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling, the best AC company in the business today, best AC company in the business today, Shield Heating and Cooling. Call them at that number 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. And you will be receiving free AC system cleaning checks courtesy of our wonderful friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling. Again, that's free AC system checks for every AC system in your home, courtesy of the team over at Shield Heating and Cooling, the best AC company in the business today. If you call them today at 225-46-BAYOU, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. Also, even after a loss, even after a tough loss, a tough series sweep, so three tough losses this weekend, as always, it's always going to be ride or die for me with my Tigers. I'm always going to love my Tigers. You're always going to love your Tigers, our Tigers, and I'm going to always love the Tigers. And also, what I also love? Well, I also love food, especially sweets. And there's not a better place that I personally have found for you to go to fulfill all of the delicious sweet treat desires that you might have than the bakery over at Sugar Me Sweets Cakes and Confections. From fresh baked chocolate chip cookies to cupcakes to cake squares to custom decorated cakes, the bakery over at Sugar Me Sweets Cakes and Confections has it all. Folks, you can contact them today by calling them. Their phone number is 225-250-1950, 225-250-1950, or you can visit them in person in the city of Central Louisiana, located at 8565 Rome Drive, 8565 Rome, ROME Drive. They have a storefront that always stays fully stocked for all of your last minute dessert needs. Again, they're the best bakery out there. Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections. Visit them today, 8565 Rome Drive, ROME, 8565 Rome Drive, located in the city of Central Louisiana, or you can call them. Again, that number is 225-250-1950. Okay, let's get into the show today. Thank you for being a part of the show today. What's up, Joker? Thank you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Randy? What's up, always? Thank you, folks, for tuning into the show. Sorry, I was just checking on my phone for something. All right, we got a lot to get into today. Let's get to LSU baseball. Another really disappointing weekend for the Tigers, and I don't know the that's the only way I can put it right now is it's just disappointing. It's been a disappointing season. It's in its entirety. But again, now you've been swept for two straight SEC series in a row. You've lost six straight SEC conference games. It's your first time getting swept in the box at home since Ole Miss did it to you in 2022, the first season Jay Johnson was at this program. So it is extremely disappointing that again you got swept, and you've lost 7 of your last 8 games. I mean, you lost a midweek game to Bethune-Cookman. You got swept in Oxford by Ole Miss. You got swept at home by Texas A&M. This weekend, we can break it all down. We can look at it in different ways. Coming into this weekend, when I previewed it last week, I said, look, you're facing one of the scariest offenses, one of the best offenses, not only in the SEC, but I think after what we saw this weekend, I'm willing to say one of the best offenses in the entire country. I mean, this Texas A&M lineup is relentless. They were coming into this game in the past month of the season. For over a month now, they've been averaging 9 to 10 runs per game. I mean, that is elite offensive production, and they are relentless. And you knew they were going to score. You knew like this LSU weekend pitching staff at times has been really good. Like they were really good at Tennessee and Knoxville a few weeks ago, but you knew they were gonna A&M was gonna put up their fair share of runs. My thing last week when I talked about this game in the preview is I said, look, you're coming in here and you're facing a pitching staff that statistically, when you look at the numbers, is towards the bottom of the SEC in nearly every statistic. They're like 13th in team ERA overall in the season. Coming into the series against LSU, A&M was 15th in team ERA in SEC games alone. So they've been struggling as a pitching staff at times this year. It's been a real problem. And I think it's been a real problem for them as a pitching staff. So I thought coming into this series, if you were going to win it, if you were going to have success, you're facing a top 10 team in the country at home. If you're going to have success, your offense has to produce. Your offense has to produce. Well, they didn't do that this weekend. They flat out didn't do that this weekend. And I think the lack of offensive production is what cost you this series because we can break it all down. We can go into the numbers. I mean, the defense, I've talked about it all season. This is not a good defensive baseball team in the field, but it really wasn't that much of a problem this weekend. Like there were a few plays, like a few errors here or there, but it definitely wasn't as much as a problem this past weekend as it was at Ole Miss and at Tennessee. And I think the starters between Case and Evans, William Schmidt, and Zach Cowan, those three pitchers combined to give up 17 runs on 17 hits. So statistically, your starters did not have a great weekend, but I thought your bullpen actually against one of the best offenses, not only in the SEC, but in America, I actually thought your bullpen was good, was largely good, was played pretty well overall when you look at it. We'll get into those numbers in a little bit. But again, offensively, it wasn't enough. It wasn't nearly enough, especially against an A&M pitching staff that had been struggling this season coming into this series. You needed to produce a lot more than you did. And that was the biggest thing for me this weekend. I mean, yeah, you like I said, Evans, Schmidt, and Cowan. So your three starters combined gave up 17 earned runs combined on 17 hits combined. I did think the bullpen overall pitched pretty well, all things considered, against one of the best lineups in the country. The bullpen in 14 innings combined allowed only 5 earned runs in 14 innings this weekend in 3 games on 11 hits. So overall, the bullpen really wasn't that bad this weekend. I mean, Devin Sheeran yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. Devin Sheeran was awesome yesterday with what he was able to do. I mean, he came in yesterday in relief and he struck out 9 in 4 1/3 innings pitched. He struck out 9, only gave up 1 run, and only gave up 3 hits. I mean, Devin Sheeran was an absolute beast yesterday. He was the best pitcher of the weekend. He was dynamite. Devin Sheeran was yesterday. And I didn't think the bullpen was that bad. Or I thought the bullpen overall, let me rephrase that. I thought the bullpen overall was a positive from this weekend, and I thought they pitched pretty well. I didn't think the defense was a big issue this weekend, at least for me, but this offense was the big issue. I mean, you got to be able to produce. You got to be able to produce at home. I understand you didn't produce much against an Ole Miss pitching staff on the road in Oxford, but that Ole Miss pitching staff is really good, and they're one of the best in the SEC. And I understood it. I understood it in a way because Hunter Elliott, Cade Townsend, and Taylor Rabe, that's a great starting rotation, one of the best in the SEC. But coming in, Texas A&M was not having a great season overall as a pitching staff. I mean, the Friday starter, Shane Sadeo for A&M, had an ERA over 5, and the Sunday starter for A&M, Weston Moss, had an ERA over 6.5. So nothing to write home about, and they had a really good weekend against you, and you did not produce nearly enough. And I think that's the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from this weekend. Again, the thing is, guys, is this team is, you have to be able to get big hits in big clutch situations because the margins are razor thin in the SEC. There's so many good teams in the SEC every single year. And man, the 2-out hitting from this team is just very poor. I mean, the 2-out hitting from this team is just very poor. It's a huge problem. I mean, the runners in scoring position, a huge problem on this team. I mean, this team hit 7 for 40 with runners in scoring position this weekend against Texas A&M, and they were 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position. 7 for 40 with runners on base, 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position. I mean, it's bad, man. It's bad offensively, and the offense was it's just been inconsistent all season. They've had good games, Sundays against Kentucky and against Tennessee, but for back-to-back Sundays, I mean, in back-to-back Sundays, the Sunday game against Ole Miss and the Sunday game against Texas A&M, you were scoreless in 8 of the 9 innings that you played in the past 2 Sundays. I mean, the only inning that you scored in Oxford on that Sunday against Ole Miss was the 7th inning when you put up 7 runs. You were shut out in the other 8 innings you played in. And then you only scored 2 runs in the 8th inning. Yeah, I think it was the 8th inning. You only scored 2 runs in the 8th inning against A&M yesterday. So that's back-to-back Sunday appearances, Sunday games where you've been shut out for 8 of the 9 innings that you played in, and it's just been really bad offense. It's been really bad and really inconsistent offensively. Again, you got to be better at hitting with 2 outs, man. You got to be better at hitting with 2 outs. You got to be better at hitting with runners in scoring position. You got to be able to capitalize. That's what A&M did this weekend. In the 5th inning, we'll get to it in a little bit when we go through a little bit of game flow. It's not going to be as much game flow. Tried to shorten it a little bit this go around, trying a few different things. But like in the 5th inning on Friday, A&M scored 3 runs to take the game. It was a tie game going into that 5th inning. It was tied at 1. A&M took a 4-1 lead with 3 straight 2-out singles. Like they got all 3 runs were driven in for A&M in that 5th inning Friday with 2 outs. They were able to capitalize, and time again, this LSU offense is not able to do that. And that's what it was this weekend. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, on Sunday's broadcast, this is the stat that tells you everything, folks. Like, this is the stat that literally tells you everything you need to know. Is on Sunday, they mentioned this in the broadcast yesterday that LSU ranked in the country, in America, LSU is 139th in the country in team batting average with runners in scoring position. 139th in the country in team batting average with runners in scoring position. You got to be able to capitalize, and constantly, again and again, this team fails to get the big hit in the big moments. And it is what it is this year with this team, man. I mean, you've lost 7 of your last 8. You've been swept in your last 2 SEC series. I don't question the talent. I think you do have some pretty good individual talent. I don't question that. I also I don't question the talent. I don't question the fight. I think this team has been pretty competitive at times this season as far as coming back in games, because you started slow in so many games this season, but you come back late in 2 games against Tennessee to win that series. You come back from down 7-0 against Kentucky. So I don't question the talent, and I don't question the fight, and I'm not even going to question whether or not this team wants to win. I don't question that. I just think overall, when you put all the pieces together, this team has proven out to be an average to, at this point, a below average baseball team in the SEC. And I think what you have in the next 4 weeks, I mean, you got to go to Starkville and to Athens 2 of your next 3 weekends, and flat out with the level of play you've been playing with, I don't see you winning those series. And Georgia is a top 5 team in the country that I think if you played them right now probably sweeps you. I think the problem at times for this team a lot has been the defense. Like, that's been the big issue for a majority of the season, is that you do not play good defensive baseball. And then, your pitching has been inconsistent at times as well. But I think the big issue this weekend, man, is just not being able to capitalize in clutch situations, not being able to get the 2-out hit, the big 2-out hit in clutch situations, not being able to just come up big in those situations and produce runs. I mean, that's what A&M was able to do this weekend, and you've proven time and time again that consistently you're not able to do that offensively. I was a little bit like surprised by what Jay said on Friday, right? Like I was a little bit surprised by what Jay said in his press conference after the game on Friday. Jay was brutally honest and said that he and his staff made some mistakes in roster construction coming into this season when it came to the transfer portal, when it came to some of the talent that they brought in. I think my main thing and if you haven't seen it, it's really, you need to go back and watch it. It's Jay's Friday press conference after the initial loss, the game one loss on Friday. My takeaway is from what Jay said is that you recruited some power hitters out of the portal this past season this past all season from mid-major schools, and those guys haven't really proven out to be able to hit well or play well against SEC pitching. I mean, you can hit for power and hit a lot of homers against mid-major schools, but some guys you're not able to carry that over when you face like the amount of pitching talent that you face week in and week out in SEC play. And like I've said it before and I'll say it again, besides Seth Dardar when he's been healthy and besides Cooper Moore when he's been healthy, it feels like you've missed on pretty much all of the other transfer portal prospects that you signed in the offseason. And I don't mean to hate on those guys. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's never my goal, never what I want to try to attempt to do. But I think flat out, I just think nothing about this season is going to change the way I feel about Jay Johnson. I still feel, and I will feel, nothing about the season is going to change the fact that I believe he's still the best college baseball coach in America today. I mean, he's won 2 out of the last 3 national titles, but when it comes to this season, I mean, think about in 2025, how big was Daniel Dickinson for you in 2025? How big was Luis Hernandez for you? How big was Anthony Ianson for you? Like all of those guys that you got out of the portal were so huge for you in winning your 8th national championship in 2025. And it hasn't wound up working out that way this season. And I think Jay obviously has said he's learned from it and he's never, like, this will never happen again. I think they were expecting, from what I gathered on Friday, what I took from it is Jay said they basically, to me, is that they went after a lot of some power guys in the portal that hit well and hit for power in mid-majors schools, but haven't been able to translate that talent to the SEC. And I think that's proven out to be the case this season. I mean, the fact that, Zach York has been a non-factor, the fact that, Trent Caraway, although I know that Trent's been injured a little bit lately, but when he's played, he's been kind of a non-factor at times. The fact that, Braden Simpson has been starting at second base for Seth Dardar because Dardar has been hurt, but like Braden Simpson took some bad at bats this weekend. And it's not just him. I'm not going to blame one player. I will never call out one player or blame one player. It's a team issue. Like I said, I think you have individual talent, and I think you have shown that you have a little bit of fight this season, being able to come back against Tennessee and Kentucky and all of those teams and in all of those games. But I think overall, when you put it together this season, it just turned out to be an average to below average baseball team. That's what I think it is, and we'll get into game flow in a little bit, but I want to get to these comments. Let's see. Robbie, what's up, Robbie? What's up, Robbie? What's up, Kid Dynamite? What's up, Randy? Let's see. Let's call it. Now, Jay has earned the right to have an off year, but if we play like this next year, then we will have a come to Jesus meeting. All right. Yeah. Jay's the best college baseball coach in the country. I truly believe that. Like, I truly do believe that. It's been a bad season this year. It has been a rough season this year. I think they messed up a little bit. And not just me, Jay said they made some mistakes in the portal with some of the talent that they acquired, and they would have done things differently as far as going after the power hitters that they did in the portal instead of going after. I mean, like I said, Hernandez, Dickinson, Ianson. How big were those guys for you in 2025 and winning that eighth national championship? And you, besides Dardar when he's been healthy and Cooper Moore when he's been healthy, you haven't seen that out of the transfers. So I think Jay basically said, looking for power from the guys that you build and the guys that you bring in here as a freshman. I mean, the power numbers that you're getting, I mean, Jake Brown has what, 16 home runs on the season. Jake Brown has been great this season and developing from his freshman year to sophomore year, now in his junior year, those power numbers going up. So basically Jay was like, look, I think we're going to look to supplement that power with the guys that we bring up, with the guys that we develop, and then add those other pieces that we need to in the portal. But this season, yeah, it's been shaky, and it hasn't been a good season. But I want to get into this game flow a little bit. I want to cover a few of these things in this game flow. We'll start with a pitching staff. Hold on real quick. All right. So we'll go through again. I didn't think the defense was a big issue this weekend. I really didn't. I didn't think the defense was the biggest issue this weekend. Like I've said, they're not a good defensive baseball team. They've really struggled in the field all season, pretty much. That is what it is. I don't know how much better you can get there, but I think defensively it is what it is, and that wasn't the biggest issue this weekend. I want to touch on the pitching, and then I want to touch on the hitting. We'll go through kind of some amount of game flow. I tried to shorten it up for you, and then we'll get out of here. Pitching from this weekend, we'll start on Friday. We'll start in game one. Kaysen Evans got another Friday start. Of course, he's been the Friday guy all season. And Kaysen looked great early. I mean, in the first 4 innings of this game, Kaysen Evans struck out 7 batters. He looked really great early. Had that splitter really going early against this Texas A&M lineup. Now, he did give up a run in the 3rd inning on a leadoff walk, a single, and then an RBI ground out drove in A&M's first run of the game in the 3rd inning. But again, through the first 4 innings, Kaysen Evans was pitching very, very well. And he struck out 7, and he had that splitter working. Things fell apart a little bit for Kaysen when he came to the 5th and the 6th innings. I mean, it was a 1-1 game in the 5th inning. The game was tied at 1 going into the 5th inning. And then A&M would put 3 runs up on the board against Kaysen Evans in the 5th inning. Kaysen would give up a walk and then 3 straight 2-out singles that would allow 3 runs to come across the plate to score in the 5th for the Texas A&M Aggies. So again, like A&M, great offensive team, one of the best offensive teams in the country. If you want to see the biggest difference, the biggest thing that stands out to me from this weekend, because you saw an offense that is at one of the top offenses in the sport, is being able to capitalize when they have runners in scoring position. And in that 5th inning, 3 straight 2-out singles, like being able to do that and to produce with 2 outs is so key in the game of baseball. LSU hasn't been able to do that this season. A&M was able to. So they scored 3 runs off of Kaysen in the 5th. And then Kaysen would give up a 2-run bomb in the 6th to A&M's Jurian Wilson. So Kaysen's final stat line, he went 5 innings, gave up 6 runs on 7 hits, 8 strikeouts. He walked 3. So again, the first time through the order, Kaysen was really good in the first 4 innings of this game. But I think the 5th and 6th innings, the second, third times through the order, A&M started to be able to hit that splitter, started to be able to really get after the off-speed stuff, and that was what I thought was the big thing this weekend, or against Kaysen Evans on Friday, is first time through the order he was really good, but they started to pick up on the splitter and able to hit it well, and that's just a sign of the good offense, the great offense that A&M is, they were able to adjust and do a lot better and start to hit well off of Case in the second, third times through the order. Okay, then Grant Fontenot would come in the game. Grant Fontenot pitched the sixth inning. He would get 2 strikeouts, but he did give up a solo home run to A&M's Gavin Grohovac. Danny Lockenmeyer would come in the seventh inning. Danny Lockenmeyer pitched the seventh inning. He actually struck out the side in the seventh inning. Then you would have Connor Benj come in during the eighth. Benj would strike out 2 batters. Then Benj would give up a single. Ethan Plog would come in and walk the only batter that he faced. Then Maverick Rizzi would come in, and Maverick Rizzi would hit Chris Hakopian like in the face, fastball straight to the face. I mean, I think maybe like the face guard blocked it a little bit, but this was a really scary moment Friday for Chris Hakopian, the Texas A&M hitter. That ball hitting him in the face, a fastball right there. Now, he was taking out the game. Now, it was amazing. He was able to come back and play games 2 and game 3. So it was able to bounce back and was able to, thankfully, he wasn't severely hurt or severely injured. But at that time, it looked scary because, again, that's a mid-90s fastball straight to the face that Chris Hakopian took from Maverick Rizzi in the eighth inning. Rizzi would then go on to throw a wild pitch that allowed another run to cross the plate. With Maverick Rizzi this season, man, I've said it. I was wrong about Maverick Rizzi. I thought coming into the season he was going to be the best or one of the best relievers on this pitching staff. And when he's come in, he just hasn't really been able to throw strikes consistently and has missed the zone a lot. And the hit by pitches, the walks, the wild pitches from Rizzi, it's just the lack of command from Rizzi has been a constant theme throughout this season. I don't really know what's happened to him, man. I thought he had a good freshman year last year in 2025, but when Rizzi has missed the zone this season, I mean, it hasn't even been close at times. And it's been a really rough season for Maverick Rizzi on the mound. Then in the ninth inning, Reagan Ricken would give up another 2-run bomb to Jurian Wilson. So A&M's Jurian Wilson, I mean, a big guy, 6'4", 230, 240, and he hit two-run bombs for Texas A&M on Friday. And that's kind of what it looked like from the pitching staff on Friday. Saturday in game 2, William Schmidt got the start. Schmidt's final line, he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 7 runs on 7 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. William Schmidt has really good stuff. Like, that's undeniable. He has really good stuff, really good fastball, curveball, and all of that. But he left way too many pitches over the heart of the plate against Texas A&M on Saturday, and they were able to really get after William Schmidt. I mean, especially after his fastball, he just was not able to locate it well and put it in good spots. And way too many pitches from William Schmidt were thrown over the heart of the plate. And that's what allowed him, that's the reason he gave up 7 runs against Texas A&M. Again, left way too many pitches over the heart of the plate. And you especially can't do that against an A&M lineup that is as good and as scary as they are. Schmidt gave up 2 home runs to A&M's Bear Harrison and Gavin Grohovac. Harrison and Grohovac had a home run each off of William Schmidt. You had a situation in the second with 2 outs. William Schmidt you had a situation in the second, William Schmidt threw a wild pitch that allowed the runner at first to move from first to second with 2 outs. Then you would have Jurian Wilson come up to the plate and hit an RBI single, opposite field RBI single right through the shift that would allow an A&M run to score. So again, in that situation, you have 2 outs. You have a runner on first base. That runner's trying to get over to second base. You allow him to because you throw a wild pitch. That allows the runner to move from first to second. And then Jurian Wilson hits one opposite field, a single opposite field to drive in a run. The wild pitches has been a major problem for this team as well all season. I mean, LSU has thrown 20 more wild pitches than any other team in the Southeastern Conference. And again, it came back to bite you. And when you give a team like Texas A&M a lineup as good as they are, opportunities like that, like they're going to make you pay. They're absolutely going to make you pay. And that was the big that was a situation and an instance where, again, like another wild pitch that you've thrown 20 more wild pitches than any other team in the SEC in that situation. And then again, the shift. I mean, we've talked about the shift. I understand it, and I understand why you do it, but with as bad of defensive baseball as you play, like constantly you've shifted, and it's cost you this season because they hit it right to where you're not. And Wilson did that to score a run for A&M in the second inning. Let's see. So you got that. Then in the sixth inning, Schmidt really got tired in the sixth inning, would walk three straight batters, and then he would be taken out of the game for Connor Benj. Benj would come in. Benj would give up an RBI single to Gavin Grahovat. Cooper Williams, the lefty, would come in. He would strike out the only batter he faced. You saw Zion Theophilus, both Zion Theophilus and Danny Lockenmeyer pitched a little bit in the seventh inning. And then Marcos Paz pitched two really nice scoreless innings in the eighth and the ninth on Saturday against Texas A&M with three strikeouts. Again, I really like what I'm seeing from the freshman Marcos Paz. I mean, he struck out the side in the one relief inning he pitched last week in the midweek game against Northwestern State, and then he had two really good innings Saturday in relief against Texas A&M. So again, I think Marcos Paz is really trending in the right direction. And that's a guy that Jay Johnson has talked about. And Jay has said, he has said that, Marcos Paz, the freshman, if he didn't have Tommy John a few years ago, back when he was still in high school, he probably would be in the minor leagues right now. Like if he didn't have Tommy John, then he probably wouldn't have gone to college, probably would have gone straight to minor league baseball and would have gotten drafted. That's how good Marcos Paz is. That's how good Paz is. And I think he's trending in the right direction for the Tigers lately. On Sunday, game 3, Zach Cowan got the start on Sunday. You didn't see Cooper Moore at all this weekend. So we thought you could see Cooper Moore. You didn't end up seeing Cooper Moore, unfortunately. Moore again, he had that tricep injury, I believe. Yeah, in the Kentucky series, he came down with that tricep injury and he was out for a few weeks, and they thought maybe he could come back and pitch a little bit against Texas A&M. I told you in the preview we did last Thursday that Jay said Thursday in his time with the media that they were hopeful that they could get Cooper Moore back out there, but they weren't certain. And Cooper Moore didn't end up pitching at all this weekend. So Zach Cowan got the start on Sunday. Cowan's line went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 4 runs on 3 hits, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. Cowan gave up a solo bomb to Caden Sorrell. He also gave up a 2-run bomb to A&M's Chris Hakopian. In the second inning, Zach Cowan walked Terrence Keel. Then Keel advanced from first to second on a ground ball out. Keel would then advance from second to third on a wild pitch and come to score on a sacrifice fly. So again, in that situation, you have Terrence Keel at first. He gets at first because of a walk. He advances because of the ground ball. And then that wild pitch allows him to move from second to third, and A&M is able to get him in with a sac fly. Whereas if you didn't throw that wild pitch, he might have just gone from second to third on the fly ball, and he wouldn't have scored. So again, when you give a team like Texas A&M opportunities like that, they're going to capitalize, and they did this weekend. The wild pitches, I mean, it is what it is at this point, right? Like it's been a constant theme and a constant struggle for this team all season long. I told you earlier, Devin Sheeran was awesome in relief on Sunday. Again, his stat line, 4 1/3 innings, only gave up 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 9. To have that performance against one of the best offenses in the country, shout out to Devin Sheeran. He was absolutely phenomenal, was really working it well with that fastball, had great stuff with the slider as well, and just pretty much dominated a really, really good lineup. So Devin Sheeran, I think, was your best pitcher this weekend. Santiago Garcia, the lefty, pitched a scoreless eighth inning, and then Gavin Guidry would pitch a scoreless ninth inning. In each of those innings, Garcia had 2 Ks in the eighth, and Gavin Guidry had 2 Ks in the ninth. Again, pitching staff overall, your starters between Evans, Schmidt, and Cowan gave up a combined 17 runs on 17 hits against one of the best lineups in the country. Sometimes you face really good lineups and really good teams that it's hard to keep down. And that's kind of what I think it was this weekend. That's just a lineup, a championship level offense. Honestly, I can see this A&M team making a postseason run with that offense and getting Omaha with that offense because they are just absolutely relentless. I will say again, I thought overall, I didn't think the bullpen was bad this weekend. I actually think, all things considered, they pitched pretty well in relief. The bullpen did this weekend. Let's get into a few of the comments here. Robbie, yeah, his last year, they 13-17 in SEC play, 35-24 overall. Are you talking about Jay, Robbie? Are you talking about Jay? I think you're talking about Jay. Sorry, when I read these comments late, it's a little bit hard to get back to because I just get in a flow and then these comments happen during it. And just let me know if you're talking about Jay, because in 2023, I forget what your, or 2024, I forget what your record was. Smoke Laval last year. Oh, Smoke. Oh, okay. Hold on. I missed. I was thinking 2024 because 2024, is that what you were talking about? Right? Sorry. All right. That's my bad. Sorry, sir. Sorry, Robbie. I can't even remember a year where we were so bad at every facet of the game: offense, defense, pitching, fielding, and base running. The only thing all right. Hey, Alex. Hey, my friend. I'm holding out hope that Case and Evans and Big Willie are close to being almost as good a 1-2 punch. Yeah, man. I think Evans and Schmidt, Randy, like I think they have been good at times throughout the season. But again, like for Schmidt, he just left the ball way too much over the plate in his in his start against A&M on Saturday. He left the ball way too much over the plate, and A&M is an offense that's going to be able to capitalize on that. Best pitcher in the country after his freshman year. Oh, yeah, Cade Anderson. I mean, yeah, Cade Anderson was a beast, Randy. I think it was small. Pretty bad. And that popped in my head when I think back to when we were this bad. Watching us right now on SEC games is just as bad as where I have to go to day jury duty. Yeah. If y'all don't know, this is my pops. And he is not happy about how we've been playing lately. And I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. It's been bad lately. It has been bad. I understand that. And I'm sorry. I don't know why I was thinking 2024. I misread the chat, Robbie. That was not what happened in 2024. In 2024, you were 3-12 halfway through SEC play, and then you went on that run. Like you went on that run where you were really great in the back half of SEC play, went on a great run in Hoover, and then made it all the way to the regional final before North Carolina broke your heart in Chapel Hill. So I don't know why I went to 2024 there. That was kind of what I was hoping would happen starting this weekend. I was hoping the halfway point of SEC play would be where this team turned things around, but they unfortunately were not able to this weekend. We're about to get into the hitting, but before we get into the offense and get into everything, I want on the offensive side of the baseball, want to tell you, Babin on the Bayou is also proudly sponsored by Devin Nola and Nola Plumbing and Construction. Devin and his team over at Nola Plumbing and Construction consistently deliver high quality work, and they are known for being trustworthy, dependable, and reliable. So if you are in the Baton Rouge area or in the surrounding Baton Rouge area and you have any plumbing needs, give NOLA Plumbing and Construction a call today at 225-512-2900, 225-512-2900. Devin and his team, they do such great work, the team over at NOLA Plumbing and Construction. So again, if you have any plumbing needs, to give them a call today. Again, that number is 225-512-2900. We are so happy and proud and glad to be sponsored by Devin Nola and the team over at NOLA Plumbing and Construction, along with Shield Heating and Cooling and Sugar Me Sweets Cakes and Confections, who we mentioned earlier. All right, about to get into the offense a little bit. All right, offensively. Again, it was a bad weekend for you offensively, in a weekend where you really needed a good one against an A&M pitching staff that was really struggling coming into this one. Statistically, one of the lowest, statistically, towards the bottom half of the SEC, towards the bottom of the SEC statistically, and a lot of pitching stats, and you weren't able to be successful this weekend. On Friday, offensively, LSU stranded runners at third base in 3 of the first 5 innings. So again, you just leave way too many runners on base, leave way too many runners in scoring position, and you're not able to get that clutch hit, that big hit. You left a runner stranded at third base in 3 of the first 5 innings on Friday. Stephen Milam probably had the best weekend at the plate. I mean, Milam was pretty good this weekend, and it started on Friday. Stephen Milam would hit a solo homer in the 4th inning that originally tied the game at 1 at the time when he hit that solo bomb in the 4th. Stephen Milam would also have a double later in the game. So Milam, the shortstop, has had a good weekend, and he had a really, really good Friday. 3 singles from Derek Curiel, Jake Brown, and Cade Aaron Beatty would add another run on for LSU in the 5th. And then in the 8th, Cade Aaron Beatty would single, Stephen Milam would double. A run would score on a throwing error by Texas A&M defensively on a ground ball hit by Omar Cerna. And then John Pearson would drive in another run on a sacrifice fly hit to center field. All right. Saturday, kind of going quickly through some of these things. Saturday, the best starter on A&M staff pitches on Saturday, and that's Aiden Sims. And you really, really struggled against Aiden Sims on Saturday. I mean, Sims pitched 7 innings, only gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. He struck out 6 LSU Tiger batters. I mean, Aiden Sims was just kept you off balance the whole game on Saturday. Clayton Freshcorn, the Texas A&M reliever, would come in and pitch a scoreless 8th and 9th inning behind Aiden Sims. Stephen Milam, again, for the second day in a row, would hit a solo bomb early in the second off of Sims. So Stephen Milam hit a solo bomb on Friday. He hit another solo bomb on Saturday. In the 5th inning, Mason Braun would draw a walk. Omar Cerna would single, and then Chris Stanfield would drive in a run on a fielder's choice ground out. But overall, again, you only put up 2 runs on Aiden Sims through 7 innings, his 7-inning start, and you only had 3 hits against him in the first 7 innings of that game in Sims' start. So he just caused you a lot of trouble. And I was in the box Saturday, man. I was at the game. I had a great day with my friends and my guys at a tailgate. Paul Jarrett, Zach Nunez, David Billiot, AP, Tingle and Co. popped in there for a minute. Tiger Joker got to meet Jared, Coyote Operator, Chase Ogeron. That was a great day. I did want to shout out all of those guys because that was an awesome day, an awesome, great day, and we had a great time. But once we got in the stadium, man, man, it just seems lifeless offensively right now. There's no energy. There's no juice on this team. And it was just that was kind of my takeaway from Saturday, and it was disappointing because we had a great day on Saturday at that tailgate, and then coming in and watching that game was just really, really disappointing on Saturday. On Sunday, again, the only inning that LSU scored in on Sunday was the eighth inning. I mean, in the eighth inning, Kate Aaron Beatty would hit a solo home run off of Clayton Freshcorn. You would have Derek Curiel and Omar Cerna would both hit a single in the eighth inning, and then a run would score on a pass ball. But that was the only inning that the Tigers scored. So that makes it two straight Sundays, Sunday against Ole Miss and Sunday against A&M, where LSU did not score, was shut out in 8 of the 9 innings they played in. And on Sunday, considering the Sunday, explosions you've had this year on a Sunday against Vanderbilt, Sunday against Kentucky, Sunday against Tennessee, like to have that happen your last 2 Sundays is very, very disappointing. And again, Weston Moss, the A&M Sunday starter, had an ERA of over 6.5 coming into his start on Sunday. Well, Weston Moss would pitch 4 1/3 scoreless innings against you on Sunday. He would only give up 3 hits. He would walk 2, and he would strike out 5. LSU would only have 4 hits. And LSU only had 4 hits in the 8 innings outside of that 2-run 8th inning. LSU had 7 hits overall in the game on Sunday. But LSU had 7 hits overall in the game on Sunday, but 3 of those came in the 8th inning. So in 8 of the 9 innings Sunday against Texas A&M, you were shut out and you only had 4 hits. And I would say this, man, like your pitching staff only gave up 5 runs on a Sunday to this Texas A&M offense. Like that's not bad at all. Like that's not bad at all against one of the best offenses in the country, against a team, think about it, that is averaging 10 runs per game over the last month of the season. And you only give up 5 runs as a pitching staff. Like that's a good day. You'll absolutely take that. But your offense was just so disappointing this weekend. Like it was so disappointing this weekend. And again, I just, with this team, just the lack of 2-out hitting, the lack of never being able to get the big hit in a clutch situation, the lack of being able to hit with runners in scoring position. I mean, again, the stat that was thrown out on Sunday, being 139th in the country in team batting average with runners in scoring position. I mean, it's just, yeah, man. It seems like every weekend it's against Ole Miss. It was a lot of things, but the defense was really, really bad against Ole Miss. It was, you struggled defensively against Tennessee at times as well. Against Vanderbilt, opening weekend of SEC play, your pitching faltered. And then throughout the season, it's just been, we've seen this offense have good games on Sundays against the back half of bullpens of Tennessee, of Kentucky, of Vanderbilt. But at this point, those games have become the outliers. And this team is way too inconsistent right now. You're 6-12 in SEC conference play, and it's been a rough season. And like Jay said, look, Jay talked about this on Friday. I mean, like the portal additions that they made, the roster additions that they made, Jay admitted to it. He was very honest and said they made some mistakes. Those are Jay's words on Friday, not mine. Those are Jay's words. Jay said they made mistakes recruiting guys and trying to supplement the power that they lost with guys like Ethan Fry and Jerry Jones leaving, trying to supplement that through the portal instead of relying on that from guys that you already had for years and years in the program, and then going out and getting the stuff you needed in the portal the way you did in 2025. Like again, like Danny Dickinson, Luis Hernandez, Anthony Ianson, like those 3 guys were huge for you. Zach Cowan, getting him out of the portal and his first year in 2025, like those 4 guys were huge for you. in the getting them out of the transfer portal, and they were huge for you, and bringing you to your 8th national championship in program history. And yeah, man, it's been a disappointing season. I will always root on my Tigers. I will always love my Tigers. I will always watch every game. We're going to continue to cover it. But I don't like where you're at right now. I don't like the fact that you're going to Starkville and Athens in the next in 2 out of the 3 next weekends. You're going on the road to Mississippi State this weekend, and then 2 weekends after that, you're going on the road to Athens to play Georgia. Georgia is a top 5 team in the country. Mississippi State is a top 15 team in the country. And right now, man, it just is. It's been tough. It's been really tough watching this team play baseball this year. I'm going to keep on rooting on the guys. This is not a one guy issue. This is not me, getting down on a guy or, bashing a guy or anything like that. Y'all know that's not how I roll, and that's not what I'm about. Just when you put all the pieces together this season, this team has proven to be an average to below average baseball team. And man, it is what it is with this team in 2026, unfortunately. Let's get to some of these comments. Let's see. I was referring to next year in regards to the 1-2 punch. They're light years away. Thanks for the comic relief. Can't argue with you. That's for sure. Yeah, I think Schmidt and Evans can develop. I mean, they're going to be Schmidt and Evans are both going to be back for you next season. But this season, I think they've been good at times. But I think that overall, it's just this team as a whole, when you put all of the pieces together, it's just been below average baseball, especially the last 2 weeks, losing your last 6 SEC conference games, losing 7 of your last 8 games overall. And it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Calling it now, bookmark it. LSU wins series this weekend. I hope you're right, Joker. Like, I really, really hope you're right. I really do. That would make me one of the happiest people in the world. Like, I'm going to keep rooting for this team and cheering them on. I always will. You know that as well as anybody. But this weekend and the past 2 weeks in this season has been a rough one. But I'll say this, true Tiger fans, keep watching and keep rooting on the boys, man. I know it's been rough. Man. But it's a team game. It's not one player's fault. It's not one coach's fault. It is a team game, and the season has been rough, but I'm going to keep rooting these guys on. I'm going to keep cheering for these guys. And, yeah, I mean, this season, it just is what it is. It is what it is this season. We'll get into tomorrow some football coverage. I told you with spring football not to worry about this offense. I told you. Don't worry about this offense. I know not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before that, you had Longstreet and Clark, the 2 quarterbacks, combined to throw 5 picks. But from all reports, Saturday, the offense fought back in a big, big way and had a great day on Saturday. I'm talking like 10 touchdowns great for this offense in spring scrimmage on Saturday. So we'll get into some of that tomorrow. I know Lane Kiffin usually has his press conference every Tuesday, so we'll kind of get into that. I know the news came out today, and I'm not going to touch on this long, but I know the news came out today from Garrett Nussmeier about Garrett Nussmeier, LSU's quarterback in 2025 in the last few seasons, in 2024 and 2025. Garrett Nussmeier apparently had a cyst on his spine. That is what was found out from some medical evaluations that were done in the NFL draft process. Found out Nussmeier had a cyst on his spine. That is what contributed to the oblique injury in 2025 and all of the issues there. I'll just say this, because I've told y'all before, I don't feel like talking about Brian Kelly. I don't feel about talking about the previous coaching staff, because you're looking up and you're so excited about your future under Lane Kiffin, but I'll just say this. Your job as a head coach, one of your main jobs as a head coach, yes, your responsibility is you want to win. Like, you really want to win, especially at a prestigious athletic program like LSU and LSU football. You want to win. But you're coaching in college. You're not coaching professionals. I know a lot of people want to make the arguments that all of these guys are professionals now because they make money and they get paid and NIL and this and NIL and that. But these are still college. These are still college kids. Like, these are still like 18, 19, 20, 21 years olds. These are not professional athletes. Your job as a coach is not only to win. Yes, that is a big responsibility, and you do want to win, especially at LSU. That's what it's about. That's why you bring Lane Kiffin over here. That's why you bring Will Wade. That's why you have Jay Johnson. That's why you have Kim Mulkey. But your job is also to look out for your players and protect your players. And we all knew that Garrett Nussmeier was hurt, man. We all knew that Garrett Nussmeier was hurt in 2025. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew with how good he played in 2024, throwing for over 4,000 passing yards in 2024. Everybody knew that something was wrong, that Nuss didn't look right, that he was hurt. And the fact that the previous coaching staff, that Brian Kelly let him play through all of this, and just, it's mind-boggling to me. It is mind-boggling to me. First of all, Brian Kelly, he just lied when he went up there and he says, oh, Nuss is fine. Nuss is fine. He's just got to play better. He's just got to play better. Everybody knew he wasn't fine. Everybody knew Nuss was hurt. But we were being lied to about it by Brian Kelly and the people there. And I'll just say this. Look, I'm so done with Brian Kelly. I mentioned it in the post on X earlier today, on Twitter earlier today. Every time new news comes out every couple weeks about the previous regime with Brian Kelly and the coaching staff, I lose more respect and all of that. And look, I feel bad for Garrett Nussmeier, man. I do feel bad for Garrett Nussmeier because he was a first-round draft pick. He was a first-round draft pick going into 2025. He was a Heisman front runner going into 2025. And now, how do you let him play, man? How do you let him play through all of that? And I don't know, maybe they didn't know that he had a cyst on his spine. Maybe they didn't know all of that. But you knew he was hurt. You knew he was hurt, man. And you let him play anyway. And I constantly feel as if time and time again, not just with Garrett Nussmeier, but with other players that I'm not going to bring up, but y'all know who I'm talking about, like with other players as well, like constantly, time and time again, like the mismanagement of injuries, the mismanagement of so many things under Brian Kelly. And this is honestly how I feel. I feel that Brian Kelly always cared more about himself and put himself first over his players and over his team. I really feel that way because no coach with what Garrett Nussmeier was going through in 2025, no good coach that is looking out for his players and is looking out for his team and the health of his team should have let Garrett Nussmeier play in that situation with how hurt he was. And if you ask the player if he's okay and if he's ready to go, that's a stupid question to ask because Garrett Nussmeier, a fifth-year senior in that situation, is always going to tell you that he's ready to play, that I'm good, coach, that I'm ready to go. But sometimes it is your job and your responsibility as a coach to protect your players and protect your team. And I constantly feel like that Brian Kelly did not do that. And I just feel like constantly throughout his tenure here, he chose himself over his team and over his players. And I feel bad for Garrett Nussmeier. I really, really feel bad for Garrett Nussmeier. And I wish him all the best in the future. And I'm so glad that Brian Kelly is gone, that we got Lane Kiffin now, and that now it is time to move on, and brighter days are ahead for LSU football. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I want to say, folks, we got over 100 people watching this. We got over 100 people watching this. That is insane to me. We have not reached that in the 3 months I've been doing this. We have not reached over 100 people watching this. I started this on January 12th. This is insane to me that over 100 people are watching this show. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you so much. I'm getting out of here, but if you like this video, if you enjoyed this video, thank you so much. I feel blessed that all of you are watching this show today. Thank you so much. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. I'm about to get out of here. Let's get to the comments. I started SEC play 3-12 in 2024. Almost made a comeback for the ages. Fam, we are going to need a comeback for the ages to salvage this season or even make the tournament. Yeah, Randy. Yeah, Randy. LSU is, but I'm gonna keep rooting the boys on. And yeah, man, it's been a tough 2 weeks and it's been a tough season, but I'm gonna get out of here. Again, thank you, folks, for tuning into the show today. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you. Have a great one. God bless. Go Tigers. Babin on the Bayou out.